Hello and welcome to another tutorial. Today we will create a character based on images. So if you want to turn yourself or a friend or girlfriend or a grandma into an PS1 style inspired retro low poly character, watch this tutorial. So I ask a friend of his permission to take pictures of him and to use it on the internet. So we have here Flo. We took actually pictures of his full body, but that's for a later tutorial. Today we will attack just the head. And this is the best case scenario to recreate a person based on reference images. We have here the front view. It's actually the most important picture, the side view, and because he has an asymmetrical hairstyle, we need the other side, like this, the back view, and for texturing reasons, the top of the head. So if you wanna take pictures of a person, try to photograph them on an eye level and try to be as straight as possible. The most important shot you will take is the front picture, because this will later on determine the details of the eye, the facial features and everything. So for modeling, we will actually just need two pictures, the front and one side view. For reference, I will take this side view because his hair doesn't cover up the ear, so we have a better view onto his head. We are now back in Blender. The first thing we have to do is let's delete the default cube. And I basically use for every head I create, and basically for every organic spherical element in low poly, a round cube. So to actually get a round cube, you have to get into Edit, Preferences, and Extra, Add Mesh Extra Objects. So this here. If you toggle that, you will be able to Shift A Mesh Round Cube, and you will get this. Don't left click on anything inside this viewport. We need this pop-up down here. So let's click on that. Radius 1. And the arc, let's reduce it to 2. This is the most basic sphere you can get in low poly. And this will be the base for our head. So far so good. Let's set up our reference images. Shift A, empty, image. Let's hide the round cube. Texture properties. Here. Object data properties, open. And let's go inside our project folder, reference image. And let's start with the front. Here in the gizmo, I click on the -Y. Let's drag it out. Item. Rotation 90 and set Y 90. Okay. Let's zoom in a bit, and now let's click on let's name it ref, click, Shift D, left click, C90, and let's use the side view with the ear. Where is it? Here. Nice. Okay, now let's adjust the reference image and let's create it and make it as straight as possible and align it with the backline. We have here opacity And okay. Like this. And if we hit R, we can rotate it a bit. I would, next time I will take a picture with the grid function inside my handy smartphone. It will make this part easier. Now let's bring the opacity back. And let's adjust those. I always like to use the nose as an indicator. Then drag forward. And I think we need to make this a bit bigger. You can see here. Like this. Okay, nice. So let's find a good position. I like to have the middle of the head here on the ear hole, like this. So the scaling of the side view and the front view is very important, so we don't mess up the proportions side and front view. So take your time with this part. Now let's click on the side view on the red arrow. I drag it to the side, and this on a green arrow, I drag it to the back. Now let's bring our round cube back. The scale is currently not important, so we will adjust it later on anyway. Let's bring it in like this, and so it's inside the head, and this is our base setup for the head. So let's click on the round cube, hit tab to change into the edit mode. Let's hit face selection, move, and let's select, oh, we need to activate the toggle X-ray. Let's select one side, delete face. Let's activate the mirror modifier and clipping. And this is our base setup for modeling. For the rest of the head, we will need the vertice selection. So let's select everything. Let's bring it up here, and let's work from the top of the head down. So I like to take this side. You know what? Let's increase the A. Increase the size a bit. And now let's just do the outlines of the head. And we will bind his hairstyle into the whole head shape. So keep that in mind. Let's take the bottom half, drag it a bit down, drag this a bit down, here this pointy thing, just so we get the base, the vague base out shape. Shape. And let's drag this here down here. Now I have this weird bean. Let's change to the side view. Let's select the front part, drag it to the front. Let's drag this here to this part where the brows should be. I think we can drag that even more. Let's take that part, drag it a bit back. This here the hair ends and it leads into the neck. And we can take that part and drag it here where the neck should start. And let's drag that part actually here under the ear. Can drag that a bit more down. So now we have a base head shape. Now we switch to the front view again here on -Y. Drag it out. This is the front. Drag it down here. Let's drag this one. So we recreated his base head shape like this. And if some parts don't match up with the side view or something, always prioritize the front view. I think that would be a good middle ground. Let's take this part. So we get here this curvature, and here some kind of eye line. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's drag that a bit up. Okay, good. So far, so good. This is a perfect base head shape. So we created the base of his head, and now we can amplify a bit more the parts of his hair. But for the hair, don't go too extreme onto the top. I would recommend to set this line of geometry a bit under the end of the hairs, because we have to texture it and everything. So let's take this part, drag it a bit here, like that. Okay. So we added the volume of his hair to the top of the head, like that. Later on, we will add some extra geometry for the asymmetrical haircut. But for now, let's focus on this. I think we are good to go with that. Also looks nice. And like I said, let's keep it a bit above the ending of the hair. You see, and prioritize the front view. Okay, good, nice. So for now, also we can delete already some geometry here. This hole here for the neck, we can theoretically already delete that. Or you know what? Let's already create a neck for this character. Hit E for extrude, like this, and E to extrude again. Now we have to adjust that vertice selection. And as you can see, I have to improvise a bit here because the neck isn't centered. But I need to make it look plausible. And extend it a bit into the outfit. And let's drag that neckline a bit down. Nice. Like this. Yeah. Here's actually a part where you should prioritize the actual look of the geometry and ignore the reference sheet. Because the head movement, you can take it as a reference, but the actual geometry, as you can see, I improvised here a bit. But I try to keep the basic feel of the width of the neck. So, but now we can delete this bottom geometry here, this face. Select this face. We don't need that. Nice. So let's check out on how many polygons we are currently at. Here, statistics. We have currently 68 polygons for the head, and the head is a very important part for a character, so we actually need to spend that polygons there. Okay, so sadly we have to add some geometry for the nose. You don't have to create a nose. If you want, you can just skip that part and continue. But actually a lot of PS1 games had characters with noses, like for example Lara Croft and Snake, and also from Silent Hill. So we need to add some basic geometry for the nose, for this little triangle part here. So let's actually go out of the edit mode, hit A, mesh, and let's use a cube. Why not? Let's change to the front view. Let's zoom in a bit. I toggle X-ray again. Maybe wireframe would be very helpful for this. So overlays, wireframe, perfect. Pull it to the front, scale it even more down, like this. Let's rename it nose, and let's hit edit, cut loop. Let's cut the loop in the middle and face selection and faces. Let's add the mirror modifier and clipping. So we have the base geometry for the nose. This should look like this. Also, if you are still inside the edit mode inside the head, you would have added the cube to the actual head already, but I want to join those geometries later on so we can work on them individually. So let's click on our nose. Let's hit tab. And actually we can already delete something, this back geometry here. Let's select the face on the back. You have to be in the face selection. Delete face. Nice. That should be enough geometry for the nose. Way enough. Let's go into the vertice selection. And I think for the nose it would be best to... Where to start? Let's start on the front. Drag select the part here on the back. Like this. Drag select this part here to the front. And this here to the bottom. Here's a very straight nose, so we can block it out like that. Let's give it a look. Nice. Let's select this. Drag it in. Can also use this one here. Drag it in. And I think you can slightly see here the shadow. Here is the slight shadow, so let's okay. Now again we are at a part where we have to decide where we should put our priorities. Let's go out for a moment and untoggle the X-ray. This nose turned out great, by the way. Like this. Amazing. Okay, now let's merge the head with the nose together. Drag select in the object mode above all the things and hit Control J, and now we have nose. Let's rename that to head. I don't know, I like to work like that and join it later, but now for UV unwrapping I think it's a bit more important to join them already, or else we have some extra things to do in the unwrapping part. So let's give our bad boy here a texture. Let's go down here, material properties, hit new. Let's name it flow head. base color, image texture, new, and I like to work with the default settings. I always use a 1K texture at first, and later on I reduce it, because scaling down from a 1K texture to a more appropriate pixelated version will still keep some details. So let's name it flow head. Hit OK. And now we can change into the UV editing tab. Let's zoom in. And let's open up here flow head. And let's already save this empty texture file. Image, save as, it's already named. I created here in my project folder a texture folder. Save image. Perfect. So now we still have the mirroring on, so we don't have to texture both sides, only if we want. So let's go into the face selection, hit A, and now it's looking like this. We actually can't see our texture because we have to switch here. I use here the middle mouse, material preview mode, like this. Nice. Also, let's pull up the roughness, specular, so we end up with something like this. Hit A, right click, and now we can try some things. I like to work with Smart UV projection or with cube projection. Let's just, you know what? Let's just give it a try. Already looks very promising. Right click, Smart UV, Island Margin. Let's increase that to 3. Oh, also not bad. Now it's a very important part because we need to check the actual pixel flow of our texture, because we can get some distortion inside the pixelation, inside the seams here. So we need to check in on that. For that, I'm using a Pixelgrid. So where's my Pixelgrid? I'm going to change it to closest. And as you can see, I can check the distortion and everything on this kind of texture. Like here on the top, this will totally mess up the top of the head. So we have to keep that in mind. So let's change here from flow head to Pixelgrid. Hit A. And as you can see, we have the problems here on the top of the head, those parts, and a bit on the back. So let's try the cube projection. And now we have the pixels very even. We have here some weird seams, but actually it's looking better than before. So now we have to decide what can look better. This is also an option. I mean, we have very little distortion just here in the middle, but this is a personal preference. If you work with color blocking, so whole colors, this won't be a problem. If you work with pixel art and pixelated retro textures, this will be a problem. You need your straight pixelation. So I will go personally with the cube projection. Island selection here on the top. Let's take this, drag it to the side, drag it to the side, And now let's just spread it evenly on your texture sheet. So I think I will scale it down to arrange it a bit more clearly. Like this. Nice. So let's scale it out. I would say something like this. And I think the front face, this part here is this. And I like to use the rule of thirds. So for a nice pixelation, I will use, for the face, I will use a third of the texture sheet. Like this. And also I just noticed he has asymmetrical eyebrows. Maybe it will make his face more interesting on the texture if we use both sides of the face texture while merging both together. So I think that's enough space to create the hair and everything. Pull it a bit more out. Like this. So we have here space for the hair part and maybe for the second half of the face. Also the pixel flow looks promising. I can totally work with that. Okay. So much to the UV unwrapping. And I think, as you can see, while looking from this direction, we have here this little dip. And I think it's also slightly occurring here and here. So we can just make a cut and this will straighten it a bit out. So we have here the knife. Through the cut we don't add any geometry because it's a square. So we actually just separating the square into the quads like this. Nice. So this got rid of that situation. So if you see something like this, I think also a bit it's here the case. Just so you see that puffs it up. Okay, back into the face selection. So okay, as you can see, I really like his asymmetrical eyebrows here. So let's merge this head together. Let's go back into the layout and object mode, mirror, apply. So back into the UV editing. Let's select this half. Drag it a bit to the side, hit A and mirror. So we get the asymmetry into his face. Nice. I think we can use this one here and drop it on the floor. Like this. And I think we still have enough space. Mirror on the x-axis. Yeah, we still have enough space for the hair part. Rearrange it a bit and let's merge those parts here together. Vertice selection, drag across, hit M, center, M, center, M, center, nice. Island selection, now we have the whole face. Let's check in on our guy. And I think we have here some very important shadows here inside the eye area and here on the nose. So maybe we have to also have both sides of the nose so we can attack that asymmetry of the facial features. So let's select this half because this wasn't available before. Let's hit A to get everything back, and also that's not so many geometry, so we don't risk anything. Let's mirror it. A lot of texture space we wasted, but it will totally pay off while texturing. So let's make the hair this side part here. Save, layout, and I think what would be important to get the second reference image. Let's turn it -90 like this. Nice. And you know what? Let's select the head, tab edit mode, vertices, like that, just this side. Hit E to extrude. And also toggle X-ray. Keep those parts here selected. Let's go to the side. And hit E again. Now we have to unwrap that part. UV editing. Hit A. Okay, now we see this. And now we just select the parts, toggle the X-ray. We haven't added those. Edit UV cube projection should work. Material preview. Nice. Let's drag it outside. Hit A to select everything. We are still inside the island selection. Let's scale it down. And my goal is now to get the right or the same amount of pixelation like we had before. That seems to be right. Okay, I think now is also a good point before we proceed to make a backup of our head. Actually, I should have made the backup before I added the hair. Let's make collection, call it back up, and let's go into the object mode, select it, Shift D, left click, and just drag and drop it and untoggle the whole thing. So let's switch back with here the browser, flow head, switch here back, flow head, and nice. We still will need this setup here, and I will show you in a second why. So let's select everything like this, texture painting, scroll a bit out, because if we don't select it and we go into texture painting, you will see nothing. We have no reference. And also here, material preview. Okay, UV editing, A to select everything, texture painting. Now we see the grid. So now we want to create a stencil with our reference image of our human. For that, let's go here in texture properties, hit new, open, select the reference. I will start here with the front view. Now I have here this distorted situation. Let's go here on the top into active tools, scroll down, texture, tiled to stencil. Now we have a stencil. And this is fucking cursed. As you can see, back, you can click here on reset transform or in image aspect. And now we just have to rotate it into place. For that, control right click to rotate it and shift right to scale. And we still need our reference because we can, that way we can adjust the size of our reference. And if we zoom in, it will zoom with it. So, okay, so take a static view onto our, like this. This is a good size. And scale it out like this. What's very helpful on this part is the wireframe, like this, and maybe also to toggle X-ray for the begin. Okay, also I don't wanna wait. I will just show you. Let's untoggle the X-ray and material properties. I don't want to paint on the hair here on the side. So let's go into the UV editing. Let's select those parts, hit H, and now it's hidden. And if we hit Alt H, it will come back. So let's hide it, hit A. Now we can just see those. Texture paint, it's still here. Why? Okay, we have to toggle, we have to activate this here, paint mask. Now it's gone. As you can see, go to the front and let's paint. Let's adjust the texture. And maybe it's also helpful to fill in a base color with the skin tone. Let's do that also. So let's make it black. And let's select the skin tone down here. Yeah, this makes sense. Okay, let's go into the layout and check it out, our current state. Okay, so good so far, but we have here some weird parts here on the nose. So in texture painting, stuff like that, we can just soften and smear it out. It's a result of hidden geometries hiding elements from us. So, or we go into UV editing and we hide, for example, yeah, let's hit hide. Let's hover with our mouse over the nose, hit L and hit H, because we made it a separate thing and we added it later. It's actually selectable. So if we now hit A, select everything except the nose and the side cut, paint, and because we activated the the mask, the paint mask. We can just paint over like that. Now we have also a preview on how it would look like with other nose. And now let's just bring all back. Now let's just hide everything except the nose. H, okay, texture painting. Oh, now it's looking kind of white because we have to hit A. If we now go back, it's selectable and paintable like this. Perfect. And at our current state, we should save this texture. We got very far, so let's hit save or save as. So we got rid of our nose problem. Let's bring everything back and let's just hide the side cut. Hit H, A to get everything back. Texture. And I think we can now change our stencil to the side view. Like this. It looks kind of cursed, but I'm kind of happy with it. So let's here with the ear. And now we have to adjust it again accordingly to the reference. Like this. Nice. Material preview. Let's just paint over it. Alt H. And I think now we can attack the side. But maybe we should hide. H. Texture paint. Oh, and we need to select everything. Texture paint. That's pretty good so far. Let's shade it smooth. And now we have to work on the transitioning between the seams and everything, like this part here. So basically the last part for the texturing in the whole is to cover up the seams. And I will show you what I mean here. For example, here on the eye part, with the smear tool or the soften tool, just hit those edges to get rid of those lines, like this. Yeah, like blending those seams, and also an option is to maybe paint over some parts, some seams, like this here. I messed it kind of up with the smearing tool, so let's use the front picture again, like this. But let's now attack it more from an angle, maybe with some reduced opacity. And let's blend in those seams. Perfect. We have a 1K version of the texture currently. And yeah, now we will reduce our texture to a more pixelated version. So for that, we can basically get rid of the stencil for that. Under texture properties, hit X, and here to tiled. Now we have again the normal brush. Perfect. So we have the 1K texture, and we want to keep this as a backup. When we now starting to reduce the pixelation of our texture, we may have to rework some seams, like we already did on some parts, like here on the sides and everything. But maybe we have to do that again to get rid of some artifacts on the seams. I think this is a continuous progress. And to get rid of artifacts on seams, always use the soften tool and sometimes use the smear tool. But don't overdo it. Try not to lose details. So now hit image and resize. For the face texture, the default texture size of a whole character for the PS1 style was 256 times 256. But we have just the face texture, so we need to go lower than that. We need to go half, at least. And after that we can try to go even lower with 64 times 64. But for now let's try 228 times 228. Nice. Let's zoom in on our bad boy. And before we do anything, let's give it a save. Image, save as. And flow head underscore 228 px. So we know we have the low-res version here. Save as image. So we have a 1K version and a 228 times 228. And as you can see, we have to fix some parts on the seams. But let's give it a look how it would look like with 64 times 64. 64. Okay, and that's even lower. That would be more appropriate for this looks very Metal Gear like from the heavy pixelation. It's beautiful in itself, but I want a bit more details, so go back. Okay, now let's fix some areas. Let's use the soften tool and gently click on the parts you want to blend in. Nice. If you reached the end of this tutorial, I really hope you got something out of it and maybe you learned something, and now you should be able to turn yourself and everyone else you can take a picture of into an PS1 style inspired character, or at least the head for now. The next part will be the whole body, and we will reuse this head we created. I think it's very important to separate those two workflows because the head needs a lot of attention itself, and as you can see, you really need to invest the time to get a good result and to portray your your character respectively and to make him recognizable, or your reference person. So, I'm glad you made it until the end. I hope you got something out of this video. If you want to see more videos like this and the follow-up video where, in which we will attack the body, make sure to subscribe and like. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Big thank you so far, and if you want to support me further, consider becoming a Patreon, and this video wouldn't be possible without my Patreons, so a huge thank you to my Patreons: Davey, I Know Charlie, VZX, Toady McToadface, Tomfoolery, Copcot, Birdhouse, Alex Corchain, Stephen Arendando. Big thank you. Yeah, and glad you joined me on this adventure. See you in the next one, I guess. Bye.